Have you ever looked at your life and honestly thought, I don't even know where to start? Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because every part of your life seems connected to every other part. Your finances affect your stress impacts your health. Your relationships affect your ability to think clearly. Before long, everything feels tangled and knotted together. You know something needs to change, but because you don't know where to begin, you end up doing nothing. But what if you don't have to untangle your whole life today? What if you only need to find one faithful next step? Welcome to A Cup of Hope, the podcast for women ready to create clarity and confidence in their life and money. I'm your host, Sherry Lynn, a life and money coach and your hope-filled strategist. Each week, we'll talk about the messy middle of life, faith, finances, freedom, and finding your purpose, all with truth, encouragement, and practical tools that you can use today. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to A Cup of Hope. I'm Sherry Lynn, and I'm so glad you've joined us. Over the past few weeks, we have been talking about support and healing in community. We've talked about recognizing the kind of support you need. We've talked about how meaningful friendships and healthy community grow. And last week, we talked about prayerfully discerning who needs access to different parts of your heart and your story. But eventually, information needs to become action. There comes a point when we have to stop asking only, what do I need to know? And begin asking, what is God inviting me to do next? So here's today's cup of hope. Wisdom isn't waiting until you're certain. Wisdom is prayerfully choosing the faithful next step and trusting God as you take it. I'm going to say that one more time. Wisdom isn't waiting until you're certain. Wisdom is prayerfully choosing the next faithful step and trusting God as you take it. There was a season in my life when everything felt like one enormous tangled knot. I remember sitting in a counseling session trying to explain what was happening inside of me and in my life. The best description I could come up with was a giant ball of tangled rubber bands. Have you ever seen one of those? One rubber band is wrapped around another one. That one is caught underneath three more. Everything is pulled tightly together. You can't tell where one rubber band begins or another one ends. That was how my life felt. My marriage, my finances, my parenting, my emotions, my faith, my future. Every single problem seemed to be tangled around every other problem. The issue wasn't that I didn't want things to change. I desperately wanted things to change. I simply couldn't figure out where to begin. Maybe you have been there too. Sometimes healing doesn't stall because we don't know what to do. Sometimes healing stalls because we don't know where to begin. When everything feels connected, we can start believing we have to solve everything before we can move forward. But that's not how God usually works. Throughout Scripture, He rarely hands people the entire roadmap. He gives them enough light for the next step. Not the next 50, the next one. So maybe the question isn't, how do I fix my whole life? Maybe the better question is what is the next faithful step God is inviting me to take. I want to give you another picture. Imagine the major areas of your life are the burners on your stove. Your faith, your health, your finances, your relationships, your work, your home, your emotional healing. Several burners may be on at the same time. Some are quietly simmering. Some may not need much attention right now. And one might be boiling over. If one burner was boiling over, you wouldn't try to fix every other burner all at once. You would give your attention to the one that needs it the most. That doesn't mean the others don't matter. It simply may mean you've identified where God may be inviting you to focus in this season. One tool I use in coaching is called the Wheel of Life. It simply helps you slow down long enough to look at the different areas of your life individually instead of experiencing them as one giant tangled mess. Sometimes just putting these areas on paper helps bring clarity. You begin to recognize this is the area that needs my attention first. But identifying the area isn't the finish line. It's only the beginning. And once you've identified that area, the next question becomes, what investment could I make over the next 90 days that would move me forward in the life God is inviting me to build? Notice I didn't say, what can I fix? I asked, what can I invest in? Because healthy change is usually built through consistent investment over time. I've been thinking about this a lot in my own life. One of the areas I've chosen to invest in during this season is my physical health. My long-term goal isn't simply to complete a 5K. Running a race is a milestone. The bigger goal is becoming stronger, healthier, and better stewarding the body that God has given me. That's why I've been seeing a chiropractor, I've started working with a personal trainer, and I started running again. None of these are the destination. They're investments in the direction I want my health to go. I've also shared parts of that journey publicly, not because I needed everyone to know what I was doing, but because it created healthy accountability. People asked how it was going. That encouraged me. Sometimes they've even shared that watching my journey inspired them to begin their own. Now, this doesn't mean everyone should share every goal publicly. It simply means I intentionally invited encouragement into an area I wanted to grow. Maybe your area isn't health. Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's healing after betrayal. Or maybe it's finally just asking for help. The question isn't, what should everyone else do? The question is, what is God inviting me to invest in during this season? That investment may look like counseling. It may be coaching. It may be Financial Peace University or divorce care. It may be grief share or joining a Bible study. It may be working with a personal trainer, or maybe it's beautifully broken. The specific investment isn't the point. The point is choosing one area and investing intentionally for this season, and then taking the next faithful step this week. And if you're sitting there thinking, I know I need to do something, but I honestly don't know where to begin, that's exactly why I offer complimentary clarity sessions. Honestly, you don't need someone to solve your problems. Sometimes you simply need someone to help you untangle what feels overwhelming, Identify the area that needs attention first and prayerfully discern your next faithful step. James reminds us that our faith is not to be passive. Faith moves. Sometimes the faithful action is large. More often than not, it's small. Make the phone call. Schedule the appointment. Join the group. Ask for help. Put the shoes on and take the walk. Begin again. Isaiah 40 reminds us that those who hope in the Lord renew their strength. God doesn't usually give us strength for the entire journey all at once. No, He gives us strength for the next step, and then the next one, and then the next. Before we close, here is your one last sip of hope. You do not have to untangle your whole life in order to begin. You do not need to know exactly how everything will work out. You don't have to wait until you feel completely certain. You only need to prayerfully choose the next right step and trust God to meet you there. This week, as we grow deeper together, I want to invite you to spend 10 quiet minutes with God and complete a simple exercise. It's called the Wheel of Life. Look at the major areas of your life: your faith, your health, your finances, your relationships, your family, your work, your home, your personal growth or emotional healing. And you can rate each area or simply write a few words about what is happening there. Then prayerfully ask, God, which area is begging for my attention? Where have I been waiting for certainty before taking action? And what might you be inviting me to do next? As you look at this, ask yourself, what is one action I can take this week? Not 5 actions, not an entire life overhaul, one action. That action may be something as simple as calling and making a doctor's appointment, or scheduling an appointment with a therapist. It may be asking someone for help, or attending a support group. It may be setting one boundary, beginning a walking or running routine, having one necessary conversation, or simply admitting that something needs your attention. If you'd like to share, come join us in the Cup of Hope community and answer this question. If you could improve one area of your life by 1% each day over the next 3 months, which area would you choose? And then, what is that one faithful step you commit to take this week? And if betrayal is the area of your life that is begging for attention, Beautifully Broken may be one possible step for you. Beautifully Broken is a Christ-centered group coaching experience for women who are healing after betrayal. And it's for the woman who wants structured support as she rebuilds. You can learn more through the link in the show notes. No matter which area you choose, remember, you can't solve everything today. So choose one step, only one. Take it with God and trust Him with everything. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me today on A Cup of Hope. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend and subscribe so you never miss an episode? You'll find today's resources and next steps in the show notes. Until next time, I'm Sherry Lynn, and I want you to remember this. Hope is always available, and your next step matters. because God can take the broken pieces of your story and create something more beautiful than you could ever imagine.